First, how would you define the Israelites? What is it, a religion, organization, or just a black club?
No, the Israelites, everybody has that Bible in their house, especially black people. And so we're raised that, we're all Gentiles saved under the grace of Jesus Christ dying.
Right.
That's what allows us to come in. And we find out through history is that we are really the descendants of Israel. Like if you look at black people today, right, they have no identity. If you was to take 10 black men and ask them all who they were, they would say Christian, Methodist, atheist, Baptist, 5%er, Egyptologist, all these things that they're not, because we're the ones that our identity was taken from. And that's what was going to be brought upon the children of Israel. They would be called that byword and that proverb. So we're the only ones that don't have that identity. So in 1969, and before I talk about ISUBK, just to give the Israelite history as a whole, before 1969, you had black people that once we got our hands on that Bible would read them records. Like if you go to your Nat Turners, your Denmark Vessies, your FS Cherries, your Rabbi Ford.
But let me ask this before you get to all that. Do you consider yourself a religious group?
No.
Or do you just consider yourself the original Jews?
I wouldn't say original Jews because Jews is just one tribe. There are 11 other tribes.
So the Israelite tribe is a part of the original Jews?
No, just to say it properly, the Israelites are the 12 tribes, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Gad, Manasseh, Ephraim. It's 12 tribes of Israel. So you may see the term Jew, but that only encompasses one tribe, right, or one kingdom. But there's two kingdoms, Southern Kingdom, Northern Kingdom. So to put it in proper context, the Israelites of today are the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in North, Central, and South America, as well as those that are in Africa, Europe, and Asia, the other continents across.
Why did you guys, out of all the religions to choose, why did you choose to be a Jew rather than a Christian or Muslim or something else? Why did you pick Jew?
Well, Christ, the greatest alpha male to ever exist. When you think of an alpha male, Christ is the one you think of.
Right.
And one of the things he said in John 8:32, he said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." So every black person goes into what makes them feel good. So it's good to say I'm a Christian or God-like, so to speak, but it doesn't require you to follow any moral codes of ethics. Us being Israelites is not something that we chose to be. It's who we were born as. Our identity was just taken away from us when we came over here in slavery. So in slavery, we came over here, then we had a slave Bible. Then we had what you would say the white man's version of the Bible. Then you had some freedmen like W.E. Du Bois gave an excellent write-up where he wrote about the freedman.
But he was a communist. You shouldn't like him. He was a communist. He hated his country. He moved to Africa, denounced his citizenship, and he died over there. He was a loser.
But what country did he hate?
America.
What's wrong with that?
If you're the Jews, you can't hate because you represent God, and God is not of hate.
Well, if God is not of hate, we celebrate a Passover every year, which is about the death of Egyptian babies. Is that love or hate?
I want to get to this. So you're a sector of the original Jews, a tribe of the original Jews.
Right, but original Jews is an improper context you keep using. And I know you black and slow. That's why I keep correcting you when you come back and say original Jews.
Right.
Because just one tribe.
Yeah, I am black and slow. That's why I'm trying to break it down. So if I can understand it, anybody would be able to understand it.
Absolutely.
Did the Israelites did you come here as a result of the wealthy black selling the poor blacks to the Arabs? And did they bring you here from Israel, or did they bring you here from Africa?
No, we actually came from the west coast of Africa. And the common misnomer is that black people sold black people.
No, it's not. That's true.
It is. Well, no, actually, it's not true.
No, I know for a fact it's true.
Well, let me educate you. Since you say you black and slow, let me be the one to educate you. Your skin tone doesn't make you who you are. You have Arabs that have brown skin. Right. You have East that have brown skin. So just because an African and a black person has brown skin does not make them the same. So when we was in the west coast of Africa, how we even got there in 70 AD, we fled into Africa So we lived amongst Africans, but we were not Africans. That's why you could find maps that would say land of Judah in the middle of Africa. So when the so-called white man came to find slaves, it wasn't Africans selling Africans. It was Africans selling Israelite people and bringing us over here into captivity. Harriet Tubman, as an example, she was an Israelite. Her family were raised as Israelites. She had an Israelite name. So what I was telling you in the beginning, the information of being an Israelite was very small when we first came into America. And then in the early 1900s, Black people started waking up to who they were. The organization that I'm in was established in 1969, where we was to begin to get the full knowledge of real Black history. When I say real Black history, they call it the Dark Ages in Europe, but the Dark Ages was a time when Black people ruled Europe. So when you go into the real history, you'll see King James was Black. He was not a white guy. You'll see his whole lineage of kings were Black people. They were not white people. An excellent book to get is the Russian Icons, where they'll show you the real images of all of the ancient kings in Europe. And then you'll see that they weren't white guys. They were called Black people. Excuse me, they were Black people, what you would call them today. And then they had the Renaissance era, where they took the greatest alpha male to exist, Jesus Christ, and turned him into a beta, which was Caesar Borgia, who was a homosexual himself, who was in love with his sister Lucretia, who they made the image of Lucretia to be Mary. And that became the Renaissance era. So all of that history that was taken away from Black people in the Israelite School of UPK, we give that history back. Now I can continue what I was saying. The purpose of ISUPK is to give Black people their true identity. You can't get anywhere being something that you're not. If you become a Christian, you're going to subject yourself to the Christians of today, which is the so-called white man, and then they become your rulers. So if we look up to a white God, so to speak, and then we look at the oppression that the so-called white man has given us, we'll recognize that that's oppressive, what they're doing, but we won't separate from them as we should because we believe that's our God. So now we realize Christ was a Black man like you and I, and that the God of Christ and the God of us wants us to follow those law, statute, commandments to repent from the evil that we're doing, then we can overcome it. Because the white man—
Finish your point. Because the white man what?
Because the white man did put us in slavery, but God is more powerful than slavery. So we don't need the white man to get us out of slavery. We just need him to leave us alone so we can come back to our identity, follow the Most High, and then we won't have to worry about the bondage that we're in.
Amazing.
That's what ISUPK teaches.
Okay. And so over in Africa, before the Arabs brought you people over here, you were enslaved by other Blacks.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't necessarily say that we were enslaved.
But you were.
No, you won't. You'll find points. Well, if you're talking about from a biblical perspective, there are different times in the Bible where we were enslaved.
By other Blacks, right?
No.
Yeah, well, no, there were no white people over in Mommy Africa in that area where they enslaved you guys.
I got you, but there were Egyptians, there were Ethiopians, there were Assyrians. Those are not, again, as you say, you Black and slow, you keep using Black as a blanket term. But Africans, for example, they don't call themselves Black. They don't call themselves African American because they make a distinction. Black people in America do not make a distinction between Blacks and Blacks in Africa. They'll make, and here's how you know they suffer from lack of knowledge, as the Bible say, Hosea 4:6, because they will make a distinction between Black Arabs or Black East Indians. But when it comes to Africans, they make it seem like we're all Black. We're not the same people. Your skin, there's a book called The Black Image in the Minds of Whites. And in that book, the white man studied our brain and studied our archaeology and said that we were not the Africans that they portray us to be. It's just that those books, the greatest thing to hide from a Black person is knowledge in a book.
The best place to hide money from Black people is in a book.
No, I wouldn't say the money, but
they ain't gonna open the book, so the money is safe.
Well, money is not what plagues Black people, because Black people have money. You know how I know Black people have money?
How?
Dealers make millions of dollars off of drug addicts.
Who does that?
Drug dealers.
Oh, drug dealer. Let me ask, where is your God?
He's on his throne.
And where's the throne?
In heaven.
And where is the heaven?
Well, so in our slang, we may say the fourth dimension, but that's a place where the Most High is on his throne and Christ is on the right hand of his throne.
If black people were truly from, I mean, the real Israelites, and that would have meant that they would have had the mindset of God, right?
If you believe in magic,
What happened to them that they didn't see the Arabs coming to enslave them and bring them to America and other parts of the world? Why were they not smart enough to recognize that?
the same reason.
And this
we're
happened
not-
before they got to America. Why were they not smart enough to recognize if they were truly the original Israelites?
I'm gonna tell you why. The same reason that they couldn't see that with the Arabs and the Africans to sell them is the same reason that they believe Joe Biden would be a better president than Donald Trump.
And what's that reason?
Because we're slow.
Blacks are
As you
slow?
Yeah, let me explain. Because you said we're black and slow again from the
Well, I
biblical
didn't say
narrative.
all y'all. I'm saying I'm black and slow. Y'all might be smart.
Well, you notice I always say we, right? Because I never like to take it off of me. It makes it more personal to say we're black
okay.
and slow. I don't want us to be black and slow. So I don't want you to be black and slow no more. I want you to be smart.
Too late.
So from the biblical narrative, even when we came out of Egypt and we got into the land of Israel, what did we do at that time? We started joining the other nations, disobeying the Most High. That's why when you asked your question about shouldn't we know, I said, yes, if you believe in magic. The Bible is not magic. When we're giving them law, statute, commandments, it's up to us to keep those commandments. But what do we always do? We're envious of the nations around us. So during the time of Africa, before we came over here in slavery, we began to be just like the Africans, just like the Arabs, and we left our true power. In the Israelite School UPK, we teach our people to come back to God, to come back to their true power, to leave an African God alone, to leave a white God alone. So now when an enemy comes, and I use the presidential election as an example, everybody looked at Trump like he was the greatest racist to ever exist. Like there was not a racist white guy before Trump came along. And then Biden come along, he's the great white hype. And nobody looks at the video where Biden says he loves black children because he's used to black roaches, like playing with roaches. And so he explains black children as roaches. But because he sounds slicker or better than Trump, because Trump doesn't sound as racist as Biden, they look at Biden as the way to be the answer. In Israelite School UPK, you'll recognize that both of them are devils. Both of them are deceivers.
Amazing.
There is no power that can be over us except the Most High. Christ is our king. So why would we vote for anybody to be president over us when God gave us Christ as king?
What does it feel like to you, Tazara? Right.
Tazarya.
Tazarya. What
There
did,
you go. Give him a hand for saying it right. Give him a Amazing.
What does it feel like to you personally, not to your group, but to you as a male? What does that feel like to hear yourself blaming and complaining about another man and that you can't make it because some other man to keep you down? I don't know what that feels like. I've never had that in my life. What does that feel like to believe that a white man or a Mexican man or any man can keep you down, so you got to complain about it rather than overcoming it? What does that feel like?
Well, me being an alpha male myself, I don't know what that feels like.
Then why are you complaining for other beta males?
No, I've never said that though.
But
Pointing out crimes is not complaining.
But you're complaining about the white man.
For example, when the towers fell, 3,000 people died. 3,000. And in the name of them towers falling, they went to war in Afghanistan. Now, they said only Osama bin Laden and whoever was down with him caused it. But they've killed millions of men, women, and children that were not with Osama bin Laden. And they have this slogan, "We will never forget." So every year, they bring up the crime.
I know, but you're going away from what I just asked, because I hear a lot of black males sounding like black women, and they're complaining about some white man keeping them down, and they can't make it because of the white man. as a male,
Right.
you said you don't believe the white man could keep you down, right?
White man hasn't kept me down.
So
but
what have you done to keep the white man from keeping you down personally?
Okay, I want to finish showing you.
Yeah, I'll let
So
you come back to that, but tell me, what have you done
I'm gonna
personally
come,
to keep the white man from keeping you down?
I got you. I'm coming right to your answer. I'm just walking you to it so you can understand, because I know you respect white men, so I'm using them. So I'm teaching you how to be an alpha. You like
I'm not a beta male.
Nah, you in between. I won't say you all the way beta. You like in between alpha and beta. We're gonna call you A and B. That's what. So, what the whole point of saying that is, every year they bring up the crimes that the Osama bin Laden and them do, but they're still in power. They still have their military. They still have their might. They still go out and they go out and do everything to make America great. So now I said that to say, me personally, because you asked me personally,
Yeah.
I am personally not oppressed, but my people are.
Why you're not personally oppressed?
Let me just finish. I am not personally oppressed, but my people are. And the reason why they are is because Black people are taught to forget what happened to them. And if you don't face what happened to you, you'll never get a solution to empower you to become the alphas that you are. So we take Black men and we turn them all into alphas. In the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, every single brother in here is a alpha male.
But why you're not personally oppressed? You.
Because why am I not personally oppressed?
Yes.
Because I was raised to never be inferior to no man.
And who raised you that way?
My mother and father.
So why don't you teach that to the Blacks rather than bringing up all this stuff that doesn't exist anymore?
You believe in God, right?
Yes.
You believe that what God says is law, right?
Yes.
So how can I raise up a nation and not tell them what God said?
But God does not blame someone else.
I didn't say it, but God does say, remember what I did to the children to Egypt. God does say that. Remember when I brought you out. Our whole feast days in Israel.
But when he said remember, that means we don't have to worry because he got us. He loved us and he got us. But he never complained about the white man. And he didn't teach anyone else to complain, but he taught them to overcome.
But do you know why God said to remember? Do you know why?
Yes.
If you don't, why did he say to remember?
So that we would know how to live and see a way to live where we remember him.
Right. So now we have to remember what happened with our ancestors of old.
But he didn't blame the white man because all people have enslaved someone at some point in time.
Every year, white men seduce my brothers and sisters. So every year I have to remind them, you're going. So now everybody's going to go with Joe Biden, right? Everybody voted for Joe Biden.
No, it's not true. They stole the election. Everybody did not vote. Only the Blacks voted for him, and the gays, the Blacks, the homosexuals, the lesbians, the corrupt people voted for Joe Biden.
Okay, so Blacks are even better because that's all I care about. So let's say all the Blacks voted for Joe Biden.
Okay.
That's why I have to bring them into remembrance, because Joe Biden is a devil just like Trump was a devil. Joe Biden is going to mislead him and destroy him just like Trump before him, just like Obama before him, just like Bush before him, just like Clinton before him. So just like the Most High told us back in biblical time to remember and bring to remembrance so that we can serve him, that's our job. So I can't just go to somebody and say, man, I was raised to be superior. I have to tell them, God said, don't do this. God said, don't do that. Like, you don't sin, right? I always hear you say you don't sin, right?
No one of God, if you've been born again of God, it's impossible to sin. But let me ask, if the Blacks had a father and mother as you did growing up, would they be complaining about the white people today?
Well, I didn't have my father my whole life.
Oh, who did you have?
So I primarily had my mother, and my father was like in and out because he had an addiction problem.
So you were not close to your father?
No, I was. I'm not saying that to say that I wasn't close to him, but my father, my life story is every other Black man's life story. You grow up, when I say every, of course it's not literal, but it's majority, especially in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and stuff like that. So I grew up in a broken home. Now, if anybody can look at me and say, damn, Tazaria grew up in a broken home. Look what he was able to overcome. How did he do that? And I could say, God did that. And then now we can inspire other black people. And they say, well, what did God say to do? God said there's certain things you're supposed to eat, certain things you're supposed to celebrate, certain people you're supposed to love, and certain people you're not supposed to love. Certain people you can have sex with and deal with and marry, and certain people you can't.
Are you married?
That's what God. Yes.
Do you believe our battle is a spiritual battle or a physical battle?
Spiritual first, physical second.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
How do you know you believe in God?
Because I keep his commandments.
And what are his commandments?
His commandments are the 613 laws that you find throughout the Bible.
And do you love your neighbor as yourself?
I love my neighbor as myself. That's correct.
So do you love white people?
He's not my neighbor.
Do you love white people?
He's not my neighbor.
Do you love white people?
He's not my neighbor.
Do you love white people, Ambassador?
But he's not my neighbor.
And what's the answer
no.
to that?
No.
You don't love white people?
No.
And do your God love white people?
No. Right. God only loves the children of Israel. You as a pastor should know that.